So one of the things we've heard, President Trump famously called, mused that NATO might be obsolete. President Biden called the NATO alliance and its mutual defense commitment a sacred obligation. So what do you think about this change in administrations and how much difference it makes in the alliance?
Well, to answer your question, I think that President Trump went in and did his best to improve some situations. I think Joe Biden had a lot of words. Many of those words we don't disagree with. Let's see if they move into actions. I did sit in a couple of years ago, a joint session of Congress with the Secretary General of NATO, who was quite praiseworthy of President Trump at the time for bringing all of those participants in NATO to the table to pay their fair share. So let's hope that Joe Biden, who claims to be a uniter, that we haven't seen yet, right? So far, it's been a divider. Let's see if he can do that on the world stage.
Well, his poll numbers are somewhere in the mid-50s, but certainly we're in a divided country right now, rather bitterly, and a lot of people don't like him. But let's look ahead to the Biden-Putin summit. If you'd told somebody in the year 2000, when Vladimir Putin first came to power, that Russia would be still right at the heart of so much of American policy, that we'd be defending ourselves against cyber attacks from them and election attacks and things like that, I don't think they would have believed you. He's really made that country matter in American policy for better and worse. So what would you like to see come out of the president's meeting with President Putin?
Well, first off, I was listening to what President Biden had to say, and he has been a significant participant on the world stage, and of course, for the last 4 decades, and he is aware of who Vladimir Putin is, and Vladimir Putin is a thug. Vladimir Putin has taken advantage and has caused not just provocative, but has taken some very aggressive, unlawful stances in many ways, from alleged assassinations to invasions of countries, while President Biden was vice president. So the idea that he's talking about Putin, that maybe he's changed in so many words, I think he may be a victim of wishful thinking. We're the United States of America. Our GDP is 15 times that of Russia. We must work from strength. We've got some serious situations, from cyber attacks that are coming out of Russia to 150,000 Russian troops surrounding or on the Ukraine border, just as many as there were in 2014, while Vice President Biden saw the Ukraine be invaded. So this is serious stuff. All these nice backslapping and laughing. Let's see a plan on how we're going to look after the interests of the United States as well as NATO. That's what we're interested in seeing, not the words, the plan and action.
I was in Crimea and in Ukraine during Russia's move to really take control of that country's destiny as much as it could. There was 4 years, of course, in between administrations where something could have been done as well. But let's talk about cyber. You said on cyber that the U.S. needs to make clear to Russia that cyber attacks on our country won't be tolerated. So how can we do that, do you think?
Research, investigate. We've got the best crime-fighting organizations in the world. We also have NATO. We have many friends out there. We do our best. And until we see transparency coming from where these cyber attacks came from, we must deal from strength, issue sanctions, do everything that we need to make them sorry that occurred coming out of their nation.
So there is some new language we've noticed in the NATO communique about China. Do you support the way the president has tried to push Europe, both in the G7 and here at NATO, to get tougher with China and to recognize it as an aggressor as well?
Well, it's pretty obvious they are a significant aggressor. We have incredible human rights atrocities taking place, genocide. We have serious aggression, and we have much evidence that shows that the origins of this terrible COVID virus that killed millions of people came from Wuhan, came from China, and was in fact covered up. So by all means, yes, we need a orchestrated NATO initiative focused on China as an adversary, and we need to show that we have the cards, and they need to abide by the law and order of this world organization as well as NATO.
And you've given me an opportunity to plug Nightline tonight. I've got a story on Nightline which is about an investigation, the ABC News investigation on the origins of COVID. It has some very interesting facts in there. Earlier this hour, your colleague on the Foreign Relations Committee, Congressman Jerry Connolly, voiced concerns here with us about the state of democracy around the world, including here in the U.S., where audits continue in response to false claims from the former president and others about the November election. And you yourself voted against certifying the electors in the state of Pennsylvania. So the president's out on the world stage now. Do you accept him as the legitimately elected president of the United States under the Constitution, representing the people of America over there?
Absolutely, of course. January 6th was a very dark day. We had significant constitutional questions that were taking place. We needed to speak for the 50% of America that felt and knew, particularly in Pennsylvania, where I did not support the certification because of the unambiguous and clear unconstitutional actions, frankly, that were taken by the Secretary of State within Pennsylvania. That's another story, but absolutely, we want a president in Biden that's not here to reverse everything that was done before, but to bring us together, to truly be a uniter, to accentuate the positives of America, and let's move on and do the great things that we could do. My colleagues on the Republican side, I know, agree with me. We'd like to see our Democrat colleagues and friends do their best to actually compromise, come together, which we haven't seen yet. We didn't see that in the so-called rescue plan from the Biden administration. We're not seeing it enough yet in the transportation infrastructure. Let's actually unite and do as much good as we can.
All right, I think you speak for the country there. Would like to see a little bit less division, a little bit more unity. Representative Dan Meuser, thanks very much for being with us.